What if you could understand exactly what your ideal prospective client is thinking and feeling on a molecular level better than anyone else in your industry? And what if you knew exactly how to articulate those thoughts and feelings in a powerful, meaningful way so you can help your clients get the results they need? Today, I'm going to share with you how to combine the power of neuroscience with the compassion of empathy in a process called Neurempathy. Hi, I'm Jon Cook. I'm the founder of Keynote Content, helping clarify your message so you can elevate your impact and income. Now, before we go any further, what I'm about to share with you must be handled with integrity. As Voltaire said, with great power comes great responsibility. If you only want to use this information to manipulate people or try to Jedi mind trick someone into working with you, I would rather you close this page immediately and go take a hard look in the mirror. This information is not for you. If you're sticking with me, please only use this information to help create a stronger, more meaningful connection with people that you know you can serve. So if we have that agreement, let's move forward. To give you a bit of my background, my undergraduate and graduate studies were in therapeutic care and counseling. I spent several years working with adolescents in the areas of PTSD and healing therapeutics, addiction recovery, a wide variety of other traumas and psychological contexts, including working with the criminally insane at one point, which was interesting. I'm now pursuing postgraduate studies in neuroscience to better understand how the human brain is wired for influence and impact. Now that's the insight that I help bring into the coaching and consulting space, where I work with close to 1,300 coaches and consultants one-on-one over the past 5 years. And when it comes to understanding exactly how to connect with your ideal client, you want to know what are they thinking, feeling, and doing, and what do you want them to think and feel and do every step of the way as you serve them. Now take a deep breath, because we're going to dive into neuroscience for just a few minutes. On an extremely basic level of neuroscience, essentially at a level 1 conversation about how the human brain works, there are 3 main categories of brain chemicals. You have neurotransmitters, you have gastrotransmitters, and neuropeptides. For the sake of time, let's set aside gastrotransmitters just because their primary function seems to be physiological and not psychological in nature. I want us to focus on 4 specific brain chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. You're likely familiar with each of these by name, even if you may not be as familiar with their role, their value, and their function. Essentially, again, at a level 1 conversation about neuroscience, your clients crave some level of unfulfilled desire. They want something they don't have, or they don't have something that they want. And when that unfulfilled desire is met, there's this rush of satisfaction that's powered by what we would refer to as dopamine. What are the unmet desires that your ideal coaching client is craving right now? And what can they not stop thinking about every hour of the day? If you can articulate that better than any other coach or consultant in your space, you will automatically have a stronger message. Let's talk about oxytocin. Oxytocin is tied to this idea of connectivity. It's what's released during a great hug or a team celebration or even during childbirth. It's tied to what we call dopaminergic activity within the mesocortical limbic dopamine system. In plain English, what it means is it's closely tied to dopamine release and the sense of belonging. It's what bonds newborn babies together with their mothers. It's one of the most powerful forces of nature. It's also the same sense of belonging that so many coaching clients crave, because we all want to know we're not alone. When it comes to talking about what you do as a coach or consultant, what are the ways that your ideal clients want to know that they're not alone? How can you communicate you're with them every step of the way? If they get stuck, if they have questions, how can they know with certainty that they're part of your client family, that you're going to be there to take the next step with them so they don't feel lost or abandoned, or that they have to do this all on their own? Now, the third chemical that we need to look at is serotonin. And it plays a dynamic role in this idea of optimism and hope and a positive outlook. So think about the last time you took a great walk in the sunshine. After 5 or 10 minutes, you likely felt lighter and brighter and more energized, right? And that's the natural effect of the sun activating serotonin production. But what happens when it's cloudy out? You don't have as much serotonin. There is a noticeable difference in your mood, right? Serotonin deficit production is one of the leading contributors to depression and negative mental health experiences. So if we bring this into the coaching or consulting conversation, there are sunshiny parts of coaching and there are some cloudy, stormy parts of coaching. If a client's business is getting more profitable, their team's growing, their relationships are thriving, life is better than ever, that's a sunshiny type of situation. Your client likely has patterns of increased serotonin in the neurological system because there is an elevated sense of optimism and positive outlook. But what happens if the economy slides into recession or your client's business collapses? There is a detectable decrease in serotonin outlook when cortisol, which is stress, when those levels start to elevate. So if the virtual skies over a client's life are getting darker, there's less chance of seeing optimism and hope. At a base level of neuroscience, Good times and bad times affect our serotonin production in powerful ways. That leads us to our fourth and final brain chemical that we're focusing on, which is endorphins. Now, you maybe hear the word endorphins and immediately you think of adrenaline junkies and people going skydiving or snowboarding in front of avalanches or swimming with sharks. Why would you do that? That's what I used to think endorphins were about, but that's not the case. Endorphins are actually about risking your well-being for the benefit of someone else's status quo. So think less adrenaline junkies and more first responders. Firefighters, law enforcement officers, military personnel, EMTs, people who risk their lives and livelihoods in a heroic way for the sake of saving someone else. Now, your coaching advice, it may not save someone from a burning house, but it could save someone from burning down their financial future. You may not be rescuing someone from a dangerous person, but you could help rescue someone from doing something dangerous to their relationships because of unresolved trauma. See, you're not in the coaching or consulting business, you're in the life-saving business, and you happen to be doing that as a coach or consultant. So if we combine the power of neuroscience with the compassion of empathy, that allows us to truly engage with our clients' thoughts and feelings on a granular level. That process of combining neuroscience and empathetic messaging is what I call neurempathy. There are 5 to 7 recognized types of empathy on the kind of the major veins of empathy, as it were, but I'm going to focus on 3 different types of empathy right now. The first one is emotional empathy. Emotional empathy is this idea of I can feel what you're feeling and in this sympathetic type of emotive response. This is when somebody says, well, I'm a sympathetic crier. I'm crying because you're crying. And it's a beautiful expression as humans, but it's not that helpful because often it's I'm emoting, but I'm not sure where we go from here. The second type of empathy is what I call cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy says I recognize on a cognitive level what you're going through and why you're probably going through this. I recognize that there is pain connected to this and also maybe the root cause or reason, and here's what I recommend we do next from an actionable standpoint. It's not that helpful though because it doesn't have that same type of emotive, emotional connection to see the other person as a person and not just a problem to be fixed. But there's this third type of actionable, compassionate empathy that combines the emotional empathy and the cognitive empathy into a beautiful type of empathy that says, I understand what you're feeling and I feel with you, I empathize with you. And I also understand here's probably why that happened and here's where we can go from here. And in an actionable, humble way, you're walking with that person to take the next step so they can change that status quo and have a better, brighter future. That process of combining neuroscience and empathetic messaging is what I call neurempathy. It comes back to 2 key questions. What are my ideal clients thinking, feeling, and doing right now? And what do I want them to think and feel and do while helping them create the best possible future? Why is that? Because we care for people on a deeply profound level with empathy. If you like what I shared today, please give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe to catch more of my videos about how to clarify your message so you can elevate your impact and income. Now, I've worked with close to 1,300 coaches and consultants one-on-one over the past 5 years, helping them grow their businesses and elevate their impact. And one of the questions I keep hearing is about my process. Jon, how do you do what you do with coaches and consultants? Well, I created a video walking you through my exact process and how you can get the same type of results for your business. Hit play on this next video. I'll see you there.